room. Come on in the room. Bucks lose it tonight, 112-100 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Bucks now 0-4 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. So if you're counting at home, if this was a playoff series, I hate to say, if the playoffs started today and the Bucks were in a series with the Cleveland Cavaliers, you'd be picking out your brooms right now. This is a sweep. That's what Cleveland did to the Bucks. Belt to ass. Bucks losing 112-100. Come on in the room. Doc is our doctor. Right time on scripts. He gives us our medicine in our room. We are live. Crimson crossover group. Across dirt.
JT.
Chris King.
Justin.
Yeah, everybody in the building. We got Chris King on production tonight, so I think we should make it through the night without any problems. So that'll be better. JT in here. Hey, if you know anything wrong, he battling. He's battling through the storm right now. JT in here. So we all in, everybody in the building. Unfortunately, a lot of the Bucks didn't show up in the building tonight. Appreciate you guys joining us as you enter in. And let's talk about this loss, 112-100 in the YouTube chat. We'll get to the chat in a little bit, but the chat, we'll talk to you there. If you're on the Twitter, at TCIESQ, we'll talk to you there as well. And give us your thoughts, give us your comments. We'll read them on air. But again, tonight, Bucks didn't have it. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and sugarcoat it and give you any soliloquy about how, the Bucks played and they were gonna do this, and if this person was here, they would have done it. No, they got their ass whooped tonight. Like, that's like sometimes and I tell you, there are not many times that I come on this show after the what's the Bucks record? How many games we lost? Like 26, 27 losses, whatever we are. There's not many times I come on here and just tell you, hey, we didn't have it tonight. But tonight we didn't have it. Tonight the Cleveland Cavaliers were a better basketball team than the Milwaukee Bucks. Tonight, the Cleveland Cavaliers showed that for this entire regular season, again, obviously the records have shown it's been very clear. The Cleveland Cavaliers, as of today, we can talk about all things we think may happen in the playoffs, what will happen later. The Cleveland Cavaliers, as it stands today, delusion out of the picture, homerism out of the picture, whatever. The Cleveland Cavaliers are a better basketball team than the Milwaukee Bucks. Point blank, period. There's no question. We're not gonna sit here again. That's not what we do on this show. Now, let me say it. For me, I'll say it's for me. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm not going to sit here and be delusional and say that something different was going to happen. Cleveland Cavaliers came out, kicked their ass tonight. And that's what that is. Start to finish. Bucks are down in the quarter, down 2 in the first. They beat us by 8 in the second. I believe we were down, 6 or 7 to get into the at half. We were down 10 at the half, something like that. I can't remember. Maybe we're down 10 at the half, something like, I think we're down 10 at the half. We're down 10 at the half. Third quarter, you get it, you're rolling. You only get it down to 7. And in the fourth quarter, there were just a long stretch. I think the Cavs were on a 13-0 run at one point. And for Dame and Giannis to be in the game, you can't have 13-0 runs to go in on your watch. That's just unacceptable. But tonight wasn't good. We're not gonna sugarcoat it. It wasn't good. Let's get into the recap. Giannis, 30. 9 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, 13 and 24 from the field, 4 turnovers. But again, I tell you, it wasn't good enough for me. And that's 30 and 9 is a great game. 30 and 9 is a superstar game from a lot of guys. It really is. In a game against the Cavaliers, and again, I get it, you're on a back-to-back. In a game against the Cavaliers, it wasn't good enough. I thought he left at least 4 or 5 rebounds on the board that you had to go get in a game where you gave up a ton of rebounds. I thought he had some poor turnovers. He had some poor decision-making skills out there that he left. Brook Lopez, 7 points, 9 boards. Like I say, anytime Brook Lopez has the same amount of rebounds as Giannis, I'm going to tell you it's not a good game because Brook Lopez should never equal the amount of rebounds that you have, ever. 2 of 5 tonight from the field, Brook Lopez. He had 3 turnovers. Like every Milwaukee Bucks starter had at least 2 turnovers tonight. So they were equal opportunity turnoverists tonight. Everybody just gave the ball up. Bucks finished with 18 of them. Taurean Prince, 6 points, 3 assists. Kuzma, 14, 6 rebounds tonight. 1 steal, 1 assist. He was 6 of 13 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3, 4 turnovers for him. And again, I know I'm sure people tell me I'm sure people tell me how bad Kuzma was. I didn't think he was particularly bad, but again, another game against Cleveland, it wasn't good enough. It was not good enough. Dame 22, 5 and 4, 8 of 19. Not the worst game in the world. 1 of 7 from 3. That's bad. Not good enough. And then your bench was horrible. I mean, the bench was hard. Outside of Jericho Sims, everybody on the bench sucked. Y'all, I wish I had 2 extra hands, so I give it 4 thumbs down. AJ Green, 2 points, 3 rebounds. Gary Trent Jr., 5 points, 1 rebound. He was 1 of 9 from the field. Jericho Sims, 10 boards tonight, 3 assists. I'll give him some credit. Kevin Porter Jr., I don't understand how he only plays 10 minutes. Will scored 100 points. I don't get how he played 10 minutes. He had 2 turnovers tonight. I don't get it. I really don't get it on the Kevin Porter Jr. thing. You got to give him an opportunity, especially when AJ Green is playing as poorly as he is. And then you had the bench come in, did their thing. Ryan Rollins looked really good off the bench. Looking on Cleveland side of things, again, all starters in double figures tonight. 13 points from Garland, 13, 5 and 5. Mitchell, 15, 5 and 6. Jared Allen, 11, 6 and 3. Evan Mobley, 13 and 7. Max Strus, 17 points, 9 boards tonight for him. Ty Jerome had 9 points. DeAndre Hunter, 6 points. Sam Merrill, 9 points. Dean Wade, 9 points. So, I mean, even though you have 5 guys in double figures, they then had 9 points from Jerome, 9 points from Merrill, 9 points from Wade. Their bench, I don't know what the numbers are for the bench as far as scoring wise, and I don't even count what Ryan Rollins did. So I'm take his 10 out. That's 2, 4, 9, 11 points from your bench outside of 3 minutes of garbage time. Unacceptable. Not when I got 18 from just Jerome Merrill. Excuse me, I got 27 from Jerome Merrill and Dean Wade alone. It just wasn't good enough. And so I'll say this. The effort I thought was okay at times, but it wasn't there for the entire night. I think the crowd in the 5-serve was, and I think that's what I was more upset about, was the Bucks had the crowd was behind them. They wanted it. They were into this game to start. And your first quarter was you matched some of the intensity, and then you just couldn't sustain it. How many times? I'm gonna ask this and I'll let you go, JT. How many times are we gonna let basketball? How many times let basketball just drop right in front of you and just can't get it? Yeah, I don't feel like it. How many times does that happen? How many times that the Lopez turnover? I mean, it's the stupid ones where, we get the ball half court and the game was over at this point, but I'm just gonna bounce past it right in front of you. You just bounce past it right to Dean Wade. What are we doing? Max Strus. Why? How many? He was 6 of 11, 5 or 9 from 3. I don't know how many he hit in the first. I think he started off the game 4 for 4. How many of them were wide open warm-up jumpers? After the guy hits the first 3, you might want to cover him. And that's another. We'll get into what the Bucks have to do in the playoffs, and we'll talk about that. Because I think there's some things Doc Rivers is going to have to do to change this thing up. But again, that's just piss poor, man. Piss poor. And the thing that really concerned me the most about tonight was Mitchell was 4-15, Darius Garland's 4-13, and you got your ass whooped. You got blown out. Ryan Rollins made it look not as bad on the scoreboard, but this was a blowout. This is an absolute blowout at home. And they ain't even need Mitchell and Garland played. They were sitting around on the bench last fourth quarter, giggling, laughing. And so was Mobley. None of them played 30 minutes. This was like the Cavaliers treated the Bucks. I remember, and it's funny, I think Stephen A. Smith said it before on the pregame. Everybody likes to hate on Stephen A. Smith, but he said in the pregame, the Cavaliers need to treat the Bucks like I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said something like they need to treat them like they some scrubs, like they sorry, like they ain't got Bobby Portis, like they ain't got that. That's what they did. None of their guys played more than 30 minutes tonight. Jared Allen was a tick over 30 minutes, 28 seconds. They treated us like we were the damn Washington Wizards on a random December. That's what this was tonight. Make no mistake about it. And again, the worst part about it was Mitchell and Garland were not really that good tonight. They whooped your ass. And Giannis was clear, by far, he was the best player on the court. This wasn't like Giannis had a stinker. He was far and away the best player on the floor tonight. There's no question about it. He was the best player on the court. and you got your ass demolished. Excuse me. You got ran through the night, ladies and gentlemen. I ain't got nothing else, man. That's what I got. That's all I got, JT. That's what I saw. What'd you see?
I mean, I think a lot of the same mess that you saw, sir. I think I saw this team come to bang in that first quarter, and I certainly saw, Giannis, Dame. I was excited. I was like, we're here to compete. Kyle Kuzma, and it just didn't seem to materialize for us. I think, when you get 2x and the 3-pointers made, that'll do it to you every time. And our shots wouldn't fall. It wasn't going to happen. Cleveland tonight, I mean, the way they were shooting from three, it was almost like damn near everybody on that team made at least one. Even guys that don't even take threes, might as well take one. Like you said, you talk about warm-up threes. Oh, yeah. I mean, damn near everybody on that team. There may have only been 3 or 4 guys on that team that didn't make a three. It's just one of those things. Now, what kind of bothers me a little bit, though, as a Bucks fan, and call me a bit delusional, is that we know this team can play better. We've seen what Kevin Porter has looked like night in and night out on this Bucks team, what he consistently has done. We've seen what Gary Trent has consistently done. And tonight, we didn't see the consistency there. And I made this point a little bit earlier before we got on the air. When Gary Trent Jr., Kevin Porter Jr., and A.J. Green all play below the standard, we are not in good shape. That's just what it is. Like, it's not going to be a good night for Bucks. All 3 of those guys get out there and stick up the joint. Look, open up the porta potty door, because boy, that thing is on fire at this point. And that's pretty much like that's just what it looks like. That's what really gets me too, though. So fourth quarter is like 9 minutes left, right? Kuzma hits that 3, Cavs answer back. Then all of a sudden they're going on a 13-0 run, and it feels like, man, okay, now the wheels are coming off here. Now the wheels are completely coming off. And when Kuz hit that 3, he was down like I thought it was 6. I think you said 5. Somebody corrected me, said it was 5 before the show. But it was just like, man, we just had opportunities. We had chances. Yeah, it was 5. It was like 89, 84. We had chances to win this game. And, look, Cleveland might be the better team. I'm okay with Cleveland being the better team than the Bucks. What I'm not okay with, though, is us not competing and us beating ourselves. And I think that when you look at how Trent, how Brook Lopez, how Kevin Porter Jr., how AJ. When you just look at a lot of our contributors played tonight, it's like, I don't know, man. Maybe they only had maybe 20 minutes in them before things got really bad, and I just think it's one of those nights. Having said that, 0-4 against the Cavaliers is not a good thing. That certainly is not. And this Cleveland team is very good. We got to put some respect on their name. But I would have liked to see us compete tonight up to our potential. And I'd have been perfectly fine if we lost this game by a couple, but everybody came back.
But before you go, Chris, I want to recognize Matthew Adlard. Super Chat says it's time to realize the Bucks just aren't contenders. Matthew Adlard, that's what he gives us. We'll dive into that in a little bit, but appreciate the Super Chat. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, it just sucks when you get your hopes up for, this weekend as a whole. I mean, going 7 out of 8 or 8 out of your last 9, and you go into the weekend thinking, hey, maybe something changed here. And still some of the same things that haunted you before the deadline come back into effect. Like tonight, it was not taking care of the ball, not valuing possessions when there were important moments in that game. You just weren't able to come through. A lot of those, why are we turning the ball over on an inbounds pass? And it results into a 3. Why are we over-helping and being slow out there on rotations? Like, all of that stuff came back tonight in this team. And, probably last night was a little deflating, but not here to make any type of excuses for this squad. I think I'm still confident in this squad that they're able to compete. I think, we didn't make big shots. We need more from Dame after making your first 3. Like, once he made that first 3 in transition in the first quarter beginning, I'm like, okay, here we go. We got, and then he goes 1 of 7. And so, like, that kind of stuff is just very maddening. All the grifting he's doing, they're not calling those fouls. So it's a tough loss. It's a tough loss to take for sure.
I completely agree with you. So you gentlemen said you're not going to make any excuses. The first thing that Doc said is back-to-back nights, Bucks just looked tired. Ball movement was bad. The ball movement was much better with the Cavaliers. Too much one-on-one ball movement. I think it's the same basic thing that we always hear every loss. Second unit, felt like the ball stopped moving with them and they never got their rhythm back. Bucks weren't good enough. As far as the schedule going forward, we're just going to focus on winning one game at a time. We can't control the whole duration of what we play, so we just got to win one. The consistency is really lacking with this Bucks team. When they play well and they move the ball and they get downhill and they move the ball to the perimeter and stuff like that, they're one of the toughest teams in the league to beat. When we play one-on-one basketball like we did tonight, they can get beat by anyone in this league. Said Kyle Kuzma still learning a little bit, talking about how he kind of deferred off of his catch and shoot threes and would go to the basket versus a drive and kick and stuff like that. Then when we were looking at the last thing he said is that game 4, the Cavaliers had much more trust than the Bucks had, and that kind of got into his ball movement. Crazy stat about the Cavaliers. I think you mentioned it, Trey. All their starters were in double figures, but they didn't have a player that reached 20 points tonight. Was the defense absolutely horrible tonight? I don't think it was, and that's kind of what Doc alluded to, but everything else was horrible. One of the biggest things that we saw in the first couple games, and this is why when one of you said they may be the better team, because we played this team tough. Tonight was a bad night. It was a bad night from Kevin Porter Jr. It was a bad night from everyone in a Bucks uniform, including the coaching staff. And I know Giannis had crazy numbers and stuff like that, but he did a lot of things that are uncharacteristic of the best guy walking this planet. Best basketball player walking this planet, man. Brook can play better. There's areas where he can improve. There's areas where AJ Green, I mean, he's not going to go without miss. I mean, the funny thing to me was Ryan Rollins, in a little bit of time he had, was it about 2 minutes and some change, managed to get into double figures, man. And I'm not saying that would have changed it. You know, I wish this was something like last night where we could look at the officiating, we could look at this, we could look at that. The Cavaliers beat us, and they beat us well. And they were the superior team right now, and they're the superior team in the NBA. However, I do think, like JT mentioned, when Bobby Portis comes back, he may be able to kind of stabilize some of that when you got guys not getting baskets and stuff like that. Some black hole Bobby might have been good tonight with it stabilizing and slow down the runs. Something has to change. This Bucks team can play better. And I agree with you guys, man. Holding Donovan Mitchell to, what are you, 4 for 15 or whatever? That's good, solid defense on that guy. But you can't let your Max Strauss, you can't let Strus, whatever the dude's name is, you can't let your Sam Barrow, you can't let your Dean Wade, you can't let your Jerome, you can't let all these dudes kill you if you're going to hold their all-stars in check.
Well, like I said, they were 19 of 47 for 3, 40%. The Bucks were 9 of 31. Again, I mean, is it really that confusing when you get out? Not only did they shoot a better percentage from 3, but they made 10 more threes. Like, it is very hard in the NBA to win basketball games when your opponent makes 10 more threes than you make. Oh, by the way, they shot 16 more threes than the Bucks did, period. Like again, that is that's what I'm talking about. The Bucks, they got outclassed tonight. Like, there's just no way around it. You weren't able to stop. Again, like, 3-point attempts is a big number too when you think about it, because what that lets you know is that a team, nobody wants to take tough threes. Like, again, do people take tough threes? Yes. People take ill-advised threes? Yes, it happens. But 3-point attempts, that number on its own will let you know how many times they think they got a good 3. And so the Cleveland Cavaliers thought they took 46. They thought they had about 53 balls in them. Now, Boston's a different story. They looking for threes all day long. But Cleveland plays a little more nuanced than that. They were looking and said, we can get 53s up against your defense. Your defense is over helping. Your defense is over rotating. We can get y'all in a bind by moving the ball. That's what they thought they could do, and they did, and then they hit them. So I think, again, we'll talk about what you have to do in the playoffs, but you've got to get to this point where the shooters, especially if the guys hit a couple, you're going to have to stay home on them. And the Bucks like to do a lot of roaming, like to do a lot of helping. You're not quick enough to scramble out. You clearly just aren't. Again, 100. But again, you lost this game on both offense and defense. 100 points is not enough either. So again, I mean, 112 is not terrible to give up, but you lost it on both ends. And Cleveland's a good basketball team. You mentioned, Chris, the grifting, or we talked about the grifting from Damian Lillard. They're not calling it, dog. Like they're not whether you get fouled, and I agree that some of these are fouls. I think some of them they call the fouls, and it's not a shooting foul versus Damian Lillard getting the same call. So Ty Jerome come down, get the same call. I don't get why he doesn't get those, but he doesn't. So at some point, you have to wake up and like 3/4 of the season's over. At some point, you wake up and realize I'm not getting them. So, I think I felt something. I'm gonna throw the ball. That shit ain't working. What's the definition of insanity, JT?
Continue to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
So if 50 games have gone by, and I ain't got this call in 50 games, why the hell you wake up tonight and say, you know what? Tonight's the night. Mark Davis gonna call that. No, he's not. And again, I can agree. I can sit here and say I think that those should be shooting fouls, but they're not calling it. And if they're not gonna call it, then you have to make the adjustment. But again, I'm not trying to single out. That's just an observation that you want to get to. Again, you mentioned it, JT, that AJ Green, Gary Trent Jr., Kevin Porter Jr. can't be that bad. They can't. Yeah. You're absolutely right. You're not gonna win games in the playoffs move forward when those guys are that. When your entire bench is that bad. You mentioned it, Justin, that the Bucks needed Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis would have helped. He absolutely would have helped tonight. There's no question he would have helped tonight. I do think the game will slow down a little bit in the playoffs, but the Cleveland Cavaliers are a good basketball team, dog. Like they're a very good basketball team. They're another physical basketball team, and yeah, it just wasn't good, man. It didn't look good. I'll get to the chat in a second, but it didn't look good. It didn't look good tonight.
Nah, but you know what though? You talk about the bench disparity. You see the depth that Cleveland has on its team. The Bucks got some depth too, but when the depth don't show up, it's palpable. It just looks bad. That's the thing is the Bucks do have some depth too, but again, the depth did not play well tonight, right? Like, I mean, what more can you really say about that? When you look at our bench, just did not show up. Plain and simple. Our bench, it's not even our bench didn't show up. It's our bench did not do what it's consistently been doing over the last few weeks, right? So it's not just about showing. They just didn't live up to the standards they created for themselves. And I mean, it's going to happen sometimes. I just wish it didn't happen against this Cleveland team.
Well, yeah, and I also think in terms of just being outclassed tonight, like something that stuck out to me was just how willing Cleveland is to do the little things, because that ended up hurting you. How many times do we get, cut the lead down to a single-digit lead, and then all of a sudden they get 4 opportunities because we're just standing around ball watching, waiting for it to fall in our hands, and then they go and get a 3, big-time shots. It's some of that stuff we thought might have been fixed when you brought in a Kuzma, when you brought in some of these energetic, Sims and KPJ, and we see, still tonight there was some of that, but like it just, again, nobody's boxing out. Nobody's trying to fight for those rebounds when they have nights like this. I'm not saying this is every night. And for the people talking about 0-9 versus the teams in the East, I just saw this team really beat the Denver Nuggets, beat the hell out of them. Like I thought this was the team we were going to see tonight. It didn't happen. So yes, you're right. You could throw that out there all the time. 0-9 versus, but we just. You got to get back to the basics, and you got to do the basketball things to win games, and they didn't do that tonight.
Nah, great point on the 0-9 stuff. Not only did we beat the Denver Nuggets, we beat the Los Angeles Clippers, and I know the standings will never reflect it, but we still got this Emirates Cup championship for beating good quality basketball teams. So, like, I get it. It was a bad performance. One of the things that really stuck out to me, though, is the perimeter defense on the guards of Cleveland. And I know the chat and Twitter is going to kill Brook Lopez and say, you're having a guy come straight downhill, and then you're having Brook have to come off his guy or not come off his guy and make a choice. Which one are you going to do? You're going to guard him or you're going to guard that? So we saw him not make it. Then you saw Jerome make floaters and stuff like that. Like, this loss isn't on Brook Lopez and his defense. This loss is on a collective defensive effort. You had guards not stopping their guy in front of them, and you put Brook and Giannis in a position where they got to choose. And, I mean, but no, you good. That's all I got.
No, that's all right. I thought you. Go ahead.
No, I was just reading the chat where, it's Clippers, and it's laughing my ass off like they're not a good basketball team. Like Los Angeles Clippers All these teams, we've beaten plenty of teams that have a better record than us, man. And the fact that this Bucks team can play better, I think we've all seen that. You got dudes coming back to the chat that have been missing during this win streak, and now as soon as it go bad, now you want to come in and you want to burn this joint down with everybody else, man. Look, it's a bad loss. It's a terrible loss. Has a terrible taste in my mouth. I'm sure the three of you don't feel well about it. Sure, the chat done. Hell, we know what Twitter wants to say.
Terrible taste in your mouth is crazy.
I don't even know what I said, dog.
Matthew Adler.
Keep laughing at me, so it must have been bad.
Matthew Adler with the super chat. He says our loose ball gets are just so bad, non-existent. I agree with that. There's no question about it. Bucks don't get to the loose balls. They just don't. They just don't. NYC Demon with the super chat says, man, I can't keep defending how many flaws this team has. How many bad nights versus the best teams in the East we're going to give the Bucks. This Bucks team is stuck, and we have zero flexibility for the future. It is what it is. I don't necessarily know that I agree with that. Again, and we'll get to. We'll get to this. I want to read a couple more chats. I want to come back to this because I think we can. This is one where again you don't necessarily burn the tape. But it's one again. You were probably going to lose anyway because you're on a back-to-back. I'm not making that excuse. I hate when Doc makes it as the coach. But yes, were you probably gonna lose it? Yes. Would I have liked to see a better showing though? Of course I would have. But let's hold on NYC Demon because our next thing we're gonna get to is the second round exit chat. Let's read a few comments from the YouTube from the chat and then we'll jump to it. I guess says Kuzma let me down, but if he finds a shot, everything changes. Kuzma let you down. Lord. I just understand why people got it. I guess I just never understand why the first people do is come in and talk about Kyle Kuzma. Like that, like I get it. It's like I don't know. Is that what you do when he's the new guy at school? That is like the new kid coming to school, and it's like let's pick on him because he came from a different state and he's a little different. Kuzma tonight again. He had one ill-advised. He had a late three at the end of the game, but he basically shot 50% from the field. That's everybody told me it was efficiency is a problem. He basically shot 50% from the field, and he had just as many turns as everybody else on the court. I mean, again, a couple bad decisions, yes, but am I sitting here acting like Kuzma? Like Kuzma, not the first guy I go to, be like, hey, he was the problem tonight. I don't understand. I feel like any loss, like that's the first one people look at is Kuzma. And it's odd to me. Richardson says Bucks are 0-9 versus top three Eastern teams. Yes, that is true. John Hassel says Bobby. Well, I don't know. Bobby would have been worse. Pedro says hard loss. Keep up with the great show. We'll try to do that. Let's see. Trina says Rollins came in and scored 8 points less than 5 minutes. Green has been horrible. He can't guard. I'd rather have Ajax back. At least he can defend. Again, I don't know that I necessarily agree with that either. I mean, yeah, Rollins came in and garbage. I'm hitting some points. Coach RJ is the guy you're talking about. He's back in here and 0-9, y'all not contending. I know who ain't no damn contending. Them sorry ass Philadelphia 76ers. They ain't contending with nothing. How about y'all contending with the damn with the lottery? How about that? Contend over there.
Balls.
Contend with the ping pong balls. Right. AJ says, I guess it's AJ Green needs a demotion. Goalie 13 says again, Giannis is never will be the problem. If you think that, diddle. I agree. Quick draw McGraw says Kuz cut the deficit to 5. It's right, exactly on a 3-pointer. Nonetheless, do a couple more here. Banner says you're Kuzma's number one fan. Every other fan base knows he sucks. Again, just a stupid ass comment from Banis Major. I don't know problem calling out the dumbasses. Again, it's just a dumbass comment. Every other fan base knows he sucks. Again, he's playing it. Well, he's playing Lakers play very well. He's playing with the Wizards in a bad situation. He's come here and all he's done is play with high energy, rebound the basketball. Again, is he a little out of control? Yes. Does he shoot with high efficiency? A lot of times, no. But again, I don't think. Again, I think tonight he played fine. Again, his primary guard tonight was Donovan Mitchell. What Donovan Mitchell end up with? 4-15 tonight. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like the thing about Kyle Kuzma is I don't think anybody's trying to say this man is an all-NBA level player. I don't think anybody's trying to say that at all. What I think a lot of us were impressed with was the fact that he came in and assimilated so quickly, found his role, and did that well. That's the same thing with Kevin Porter Jr. too, right? They both came in, assimilated really quickly, found their role, found their groove, found their way to contribute. And night in and night out, you could typically rely on that, right? So that's kind of why I'm a Kuzma fan. I never said he He was great. I get it. You had a ton of different options, and I get there are some people who are just mad about the guy, that left, the guy that we traded for. I'm not gonna say his name, but the guy that we traded for Kuzma. I think there's people that are mad about that.
That's what it is. Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think Kyle Kuzma has come in and done some good things. There's no question he's come in and done some good things, and he's come in and he's played relatively well for the Bucks. I mean, I don't see the complaint there. I don't have a complaint with Kyle Kuzma at this point because, again, we're not relying on him to be our guy, right? Like, he's not coming in to be our guy. He's coming in as a role player, and that's the lens he should be judged in, right? Not franchise icon, right? Not statue guy or anything like that. He's coming in to kind of stabilize a few things for this Bucks team, play his part, and do that consistently, and play consistently too.
Well, you're right, Trey, in saying that Kuz is not the first guy I'm looking at when we take a loss like this. Honestly, I'm looking at Dame and Giannis. Like, this is the highest scoring duo in the league. They have to be better if you want to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I assume they will be better if we face them in that second round of the playoffs, if we get there. But, like, I'm looking at those guys. The 1 for 7 from 3 from Dame, not enough. A guy who we never questions effort in Giannis, I don't think it was all the way there tonight. The free throw is bad again. After we thought he might have found it. So it's like I'm looking at that more so when I'm looking at a loss. And then also, they're talking about it in the comments, but and JT hit it on the head with KPJ, Gary Trent Jr. obviously coming off an injury, but also AJ Green. Like, they got to be – and Torian Prince, my goodness, he was terrible tonight. So all those guys got to be better.
Yeah. And again, and I agree with you, Chris, they didn't have to be superstars now. They just got to do what they've been doing. That's all. All we're going to actually do is what you've been doing for the most part, night in and night out. That's it.
Be a good role player. Play your role. We don't need, you're right. We don't need Kuzma going for 37. And I mean,
that's what they want. That's what these dumbasses like Bandis Major. I'm not responding to Bandis Major anymore. He's a dumbass. But again, that's what they want. They believe they sitting here and what they think is Kyle Kuzma is the Chris Middleton replacement. And that's not what this is, dumbass. So if you think that, you're a dumbass. And that's what I'm tired of this fuck shit, man. Go, please.
I got
let me. I'm Bandis, man. I ain't talking to him no more. I'm good. I let it out. I'm good. It's stupid, bro. It's just that's a stupid ass thing to say. To act, you're acting as if he's coming in to be Chris Middleton. He didn't score. He's not good, but you got a lottery mindset. What the fuck are you talking about? Stupid.
I don't even understand. Like, no, we don't have a lottery mindset. We have a championship mindset, and that's why we made the trade that we have to bring Kyle Kuzma here. Again, ladies and gentlemen, he is here every single night, playing defense, playing offense, making the right pass.
He's playing. The alternative was somebody that didn't play. Like, we got somebody that plays versus somebody that don't play. I don't understand that. I don't understand it.
And the last thing, because I know Sammy always going to do, hey, dog, I'm not going to tell you how to fan as a Bucks fan, as whatever teams you root for. But the one thing I'm not going to do, the way I fan, I ain't coming on this joint saying we're going to lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I ain't coming on this joint saying we're going to lose to the Boston. I'm not. I'm going to root for this team, and I'm going to be happy. And if they lose, I'm going to be disappointed. Yeah. But I'm not going – I can't come in here saying, oh, man, this team's definite second-round exit. We can't do – no, we have the best player on earth, and we have another top 75 and 75 dude. And we got a bunch of other great role players and good role players who are figuring out their roles, and I feel like we're going to get this back on the tracks. So, yeah, tough loss against the Orlando Magic, tough loss against the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's why Coach RJ's back. But we're going to be all right, dog. This is a long series, long season. It's not a damn sprint. It's a marathon.
It definitely is. It definitely is a marathon. It's not a sprint, and you got to get there. So let's get to it. The next thing we talk about is the second round exit, and so again, I'm moving past the actual game against the Cavs tonight. I'm moving past them, and I want to talk about this Bucks team as a whole. What are we? And that's why I have second round next, because again, if you look at it right now, if you look at the standings right now, the Milwaukee Bucks I believe are still sitting in that 4th seed. I believe Detroit's up tonight. They're up 6 right now on Portland, and have an opportunity to get another half game. So the Bucks are a full game up over Indiana. and Detroit, they're up 2 games over the Pistons. They would be 1.5 if Detroit wins tonight. They would be right now you would face Indiana. Your second round matchup would be the Cleveland versus the 8. So right now your second round matchup would be the Cleveland Cavaliers. Or it's either be Cleveland or Boston more than likely. My question to you guys is, how does this team get over that hump? Because I think a lot of people will sit here and tell you, as it looks today, this is not a team that can beat one. Again, you're seeing it. We've seen multiple comments in here where it's like 0-9 against the top 3 teams in the East. And again, I really would pick us for sure against the Knicks. The Knicks don't move me like that. But so I think there is a tier system where, it's Boston and Cleveland, and then you're talking about probably New York and Milwaukee and looking at everybody else that's in there. But how does this team win? How does this team win moving forward? And I'll tell you, my thoughts are there is a path to doing this. And the path is, again, like Giannis and Dame, you're playing. And again, let me tell you something. I think I said this a couple shows ago. This will be a much harder task than what happened in 2021. This will be like objectively, the team is not as good. And I think that's the thing that people, again, when we talk about Kyle Kuzma is, if I've said this for 1,000 shows, he's not 2021 middle. Like even what he brings doesn't equal the good of Kyle Kuzma. If you just took all the good, if Kyle Kuzma played to his optimum levels, it's still not as good as 2021 Chris Middleton. Like that's not what we have. It's just much better than 2025 Chris Middleton. It gives you a better chance. But it doesn't give you the best of Chris Middleton. But again, his best years are behind him. My thing is this. Giannis and Dame are probably going to have to give you 40 minutes each in close games, right? You're going to have to get 40 minutes from each of those guys. And then this is the hard part is 2 more things. You're asking Doc Rivers to make the right moves at all times when he's doing rotations, which means there will be some games where AJ Green probably shouldn't play. There will be some games where, like Brook Lopez, to me, he's a 20-minute a night guy, maybe less in the playoffs. And because I cannot trust that he's going to give the effort necessary. Somebody else in the chat said the playoffs speed up. No, they don't. The playoffs do slow down. Things will slow down in the playoffs. Your rotations have to be different. Like, you're going to have to trust guys to guard one-on-one, and then you're gonna have to stay home on shooters. That just it is what it is. And then Dame and Giannis in those 40 minutes have got to play like absolute. When I say superstars, that is the biggest difference in any of this. That's the biggest difference in any of this. That you're gonna have to like Giannis plays like a superstar. Damian Lillard at times plays like a star. Damian Lillard is going to have to play like a legitimate NBA superstar in the playoffs for the Bucks. That's how this team is set up. It needs 2 superstars to win. Damian Lillard cannot be just good enough or very good or start. He's got to be, every time coming down, it's got to be Dame just went crazy. Dame to the basket. Dame step back. Dame step back 3. Dame made the pass that leads to the finish. Giannis dunk. Giannis pull up. Giannis fade away. Like, it's got to be that levels of like Kobe Shaq 2000s type dominance in the finals when they went 30-30. That's the type of play you're going to have. And then Gary Trent's going to have to hit the threes coming in there. Brooks got to hit 3. Bobby Portis is going to have to play well. Like, Bobby Portis is going to be a huge part of this too. So that's what I'm looking at when I see it. The question is, and even with all that, it will be very hard. The question is, I'm asking you guys, what are you seeing? And then can the Bucks, do they even have the team to do this? Because again, I'm going to go to Twitter a little bit, and I'm telling you, I've seen some of the tweets. People basically say the season's over. It's over. So you guys tell me.
I'll say this. If there's anything that I'm worried that the Bucks can't fix, it may be the situation with the bigs. I don't know what's going on. Brook Lopez, man, this is a problem. This is a problem. We see it night in, night out. Brook Lopez cannot play 30 minutes. You cannot let Brook Lopez play 30 minutes. Now, granted, when Bobby comes back, maybe he doesn't. But the other thing is, what are we going to do with Sims? right? What are we going to do with Sims? You talked about Sims and Giannis on the court at the same time. Does that work? Does that work from an offensive perspective? Right? Like, I think our weakness, I think, is really bigs. We got guards. We got shooters. We can do that. But who's going to be the guy that gets in and does the dirty work? You can't let, like you talk about all the time, basketballs bouncing in front of you. You're not hustling. You're not diving on them. You're not trying to grab them. You're not trying to do any of that, right? Basketballs. You're not trying to do any of that stuff. And, we got to get that fight. We got to get that want to. And sometimes it just feels like some of these guys lack that want to. But some of it may be athleticism. Look, listen, I can't ask you to dive on a loose ball if you can't physically do it, right? But having said that, how many times can we watch this thing happen before we start having questions? And I think that's one thing. The other thing, I agree with you, Trey. Giannis and Dame got to be Giannis and Dame 100%. But I do think the role players here, I need Torian Prince to look like a top 5 in three-point shooting. I need Gary Trent Jr. to go off that bench and cook. I need Kevin Porter Jr. to get lightning in a bottle and take his 15 minutes and shine, right? I need Terry Bird. If you get a spot, hey, hit it, drill it. That's probably what it's going to take past the first round. Because quite honestly, I'm confident with any first-round matchup we get.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. You go.
Well, now, Hammerhead23 said Middleton was smart, even though he was physically diminished. Who was the man that had Alzheimer's and had his wife sitting up there dead in the house while he was there for a week? Who was that?
Gene Hackman.
That's Chris Middleton at this point. I just like it's what that's what I'm saying. He ain't got it no. Like, my man, he don't have it no more, man. Like, how many times he didn't have it no more? It's over. Like, that's again, y'all keep talking about it. It's over, man. Like, I just don't understand. We keep talking about this man. I appreciate 22. We got to get. He's cooked, dog. He's done. He don't have it. He's sitting there forgetting to take his meds. Because somebody else, let me stop. Go ahead.
So we definitely have to shorten up the rotations. It's not going to be just pick and choose who's hot and who's not that night, because sometimes you get a 1 of 9 night from Gary Trent Jr., you might lose. Whatever game it is. I don't care who it's against. You get those amount of shots in 20 minutes from a guy off the bench. That volume and that many misses, that may be costly. And I know it's not just Gary Trent Jr. in specific, but I think, just a couple weeks ago when the Bucks were winning, we were talking about, is this a good problem to have about having all these guys that play that guard spot, that 2-guard spot, that at maybe 3 spot or backup point guard? Like, is that a good problem to have? And now watching that game, it's like, man, you wish you really just had the option to pick between 2 or 3 guys that are always good, always consistent, because that ends up hurting the Bucks in the playoffs a lot, is throwing out different guys in there. Now it can work for you, like we saw Bryn Forbes do versus the Heat, but it's they're gonna have to shorten up the amount of guys they're playing. It's just, it might not work. And then it's gonna be Dame and Giannis. They have to be great every night. And and it's also a good question to ask, like, does Dame even have that in him anymore? I mean, have we really? I mean, outside, we saw it in the playoffs last year for sure, 100%. Like, I thought he showed up. I thought he played really well in the playoffs. Are we hoping now that he has that still? I don't know. So, I don't know. Hopefully.
So I'm gonna definitely answer the question, but I'm gonna use the chat to help me out. So we got, I think this is Himant Jane. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. He said the Bucks win the second round by fixing 3 main things. Wholeheartedly agree with this: offensive rebounds, turnovers, and better bench play, which involves better rotations. Okay. Daryl Clayton, shout out to the homie. He also put in there that we need Dame to be better than 2021 Chris Middleton. That's another key to us going forward in this joint, man. So do I think we could do all that stuff? Absolutely, I do. I mean, it's funny when you look at this Cleveland Cavaliers game, you would have thought we were back on November 17th or December 4th or something like that when we got on here and we're talking about the effort and stuff like that. One thing we've seen about this team is when they want to play and when there's something on the line, they found a way to turn it up. So the only thing I can do as a Bucks fan is hope that they turn it up now. And I'm sure they hear all the rhetoric. They heard Stephen A. Smith. They hear this guy. They hear that guy. So, it's two ways you could go about this. You could fold and walk away from it and say, all right, man, them dudes is right. They kind of figure this out. Or you could put that chip on your shoulder and come out with Giannis, because we know he's going to play like he has a chip on his shoulder every night. But some of these other dudes got to play better, man. I don't know. And the last thing, man, it's a lot of stuff about benching AJ Green. You do not bench a pure shooter. You got to let him shoot his way through it, especially in this regular season. Because in that playoffs, when that dude is open on them wings and them corner threes, those are going to be valuable. And I think one thing is for sure for me, that kid can shoot the ball, man.
He can. No, that's a good point too. And again, I saw I can't remember who, but I saw somebody prominent on Twitter, national guy saying, Doc can't, you can't have Giannis and Dame off the floor at the same time. And again, we've kind of talked about that before. It's like, you also can't sell out to win regular season games, not when you have the injury history that the Bucks have had. So it's a good point where you're like, yeah, I actually agree with that. You can't give up on, like, hell, I'm glad in a way, are you glad that it's happening now to AJ Green where he's having a rough stretch? Whereas, okay, maybe you get through this stretch in March, through this month, and then you're ready for, April and May in the playoffs, like where I think you're going to need AJ Green to play well. Again, that's the other thing about players. The margin for error is very, very slim. Like, you're going to need everybody that plays to play very well. NYC Demon, another super chat, says, my biggest issue is Doc Rivers' stale offense. 2 years in and we have no off-ball motion offense. Oh, and by the way, it says all the Kuz haters, the only guy that cuts on this basketball team is Kyle Kuzma. But anyway, talks about Doc Rivers. His decisions are bad. Guru sees more things from his TV than Doc. GA and Dame have to go. LeBron and Kyrie, I think it's possible. Yes, they have to go. Yeah, they have to go LeBron, Kyrie. And again, I think Dwale said that, I'm asking for too much. Maybe I am, but that's what it's going to take. And it is going to take maximum effort. Like Sims had 10 boards. Like Sims attacks the glass. We need more of that. Somebody said offensive rebound. Again, that's a Doc Rivers decision where he chooses not to have those guys go crash the glass. I saw Cleveland do it multiple times and generate multiple looks off of it. The Bucks had a stretch where they didn't. Of course, they're the only team in the NBA that, again, against us, when somebody gets 4 rebounds in a row, you getting bet money. They're gonna hit one shot. Bucks only team we get a possession where we get 5 rebounds and we still don't score the basketball. I don't understand it. But yeah, no, it's crazy. But yeah, I don't think somebody. I don't know if somebody's saying that irrational ass. I don't believe these are irrational ass. I saw somebody else in the chat say the Bucks are gonna go back to the 6th seed. Again, I don't. I guess they could, but again, Detroit lost a couple games. I think people feel like. I think this is how it always goes. I think people always feel like when the team is winning, their team is better than they are. When they're losing, your team is worse than they are. And then every other team is always better than they are. Like, oh, look what the Pacers doing. Look, the Detroit Pistons just lost a couple games, the other night. They're going to win tonight against the Blazers. But didn't Detroit just lose to who they just lose to? I can't even.
Golden State.
They lost to Golden State, and I think they lost another one. Beyond that too, to somebody who wasn't even good. They lost to the Clippers. Who wasn't somebody in the chat to the Clippers? Who are the Clippers? And then, but Detroit's losing. So again, I think you get all of that. You get all of that. And again, this is stupid. I know Sammy's always having stupid ass comments. But y'all need to come to reality. Understand this team isn't good. So if you're saying again, and that's what I just hate comments like that because you basically don't think anybody's good. Again, I got a group chat of guys that's how they talk about basketball. Like everybody sucks, everybody's trash. Luka Doncic's ass, like everybody's ass. You think it's just that, right? That's what every if you miss a shot, your ass. That's how people in the chat act. You miss a shot, you turn the ball over, you're just booty chicks. Like you up in Onyx, right? Like that's how they be talking. And so yeah, if your view of the NBA is that the only good teams in the NBA are Cleveland, Boston, and OKC, and maybe LA when LeBron is in because you have a West Coast bias too, then yes, the Milwaukee Bucks suck. But no, again, for me, no, they're not bad. Again, the teams that are bad, Washington without Chris Middleton is a bad basketball. They won 2 games with Chris. He was like 1 of 5 from 3 the other night. Damn, Kyle Kuzma shot 2 of 5 from 3 tonight. I ain't got nothing, man. I'm tired. I'm tired of everybody now. I'm very tired. I'm very tired.
Hey,
all the time.
usually
We had an hour forward. I ain't getting enough sleep last night.
Hey, usually what you see in the playoffs is the series kind of tilts in favor of who the best player is in the series.
Typically.
And I feel like walking in this series, and I know the dude said that we talk about like it's a video game and top 75. I'm sorry that the NBA put Dame as a top 75 and 75 player. But when you're walking into a series with Giannis and Dame, I'm willing to put money on it that we got a puncher's chance in every series. That's all I got.
Oh, yeah, there's no question about that.
I agree with that.
No question.
And that's the thing is like, if Giannis and Dame are healthy, we got a shot, right? Like I think if Giannis and Dame are healthy, that's very true. And again, I'm not too down on this team because we are missing Bobby. We're asking Brooke to do clearly too much, and so we don't know what that looks like. We don't know what it looks like with Bobby and the new guys in that rotation as well. There's some unknown, the unknown or the doubt. I'm choosing to see as like, all right, well, some hope there with that, right? There's some hope in the unknown. Well, how's this going to work? How's this going to and that hope is based on what we've seen so far. So tough loss, and again, I just feel like we didn't compete tonight, and that's the problem. That's why I have a hard time with loss is we did not compete. We didn't show up and play to our potential. If we would have lost again by 2 or 3. Because of that, then fine. But the fact that we just didn't, that leaves, as Justin would say, a poor taste in the mouth.
Hey, yo. So y'all both got the same taste. Okay, y'all both got this taste in your mouth.
Yes.
What?
Shit.
You're supposed to let that one go, bro.
Water, bro.
To the community.
Wow.
Well, I just find it interesting that this is the way that the chat and Twitter react when you take a loss like this. I'm just more mad at the fact that, like you said, JT, they didn't compete. Like that's really what it is. I'm not running from a series with Cleveland.
No.
They beat us 3 times in the regular season. Oh, who cares? Who cares? I don't think that this Cleveland team is a really good basketball team. I still think you got a shot with the way this. I'm still encouraged about what I've seen from some of these guys on this team. The past 10 games, you break it down to 10 games. What are we, 7 or 8 of 10? So it's difficult for me to be so doom and gloom when they just didn't compete tonight. I didn't like the way that their effort was. Obviously they got our number. Oh well, say what you want, but in a 7-game series, I'm not going to say I'll take the Bucks, but anything can happen in basketball.
The Bucks are still, like you said, they've still won 8 of their last 10. I know people crying. The Knicks are on a 3-game losing streak. The Knicks are 5-5 in their last 10. The Bucks in the East, they are. If you go down the list, the Bucks have the second in the last 10. You have Cleveland, who of course has won 13 in a row. Boston's 8-2. Bucks are 8-2. Knicks are 5-5 in their last 10. Indiana 6-4 in the last 10. Detroit 7-3. So for your top 6 teams, the Bucks have been, objectively second, third best in the East so far. If you're counting the win-loss total. And again, the Bucks, you're sitting 10 games over 500 right now, and you punted the first. And you just think about it. You punted the first 10 games of the season, starting 2-8. You played the first, 20 games without Chris Middleton, and then the games he did end up playing, he was on a 15 minutes restriction. So you basically played until the deadline without a number 3 at all, without a guy in the lineup that could be your de facto number 3, if you want to call that your third best player. You basically didn't have one for 50 games of the season, and now you've come back. You're still 10 games over 500, and you have a big stretch coming up where you got to play well. You guys are talking about bad taste in your mouth. I don't know about that. I want to go somewhere where it leaves me with a good taste in my mouth. So you know where I'm gonna go? Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill. I'm trying to get that good taste in my mouth. We go to Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill. Wednesday bingo, Thursday trivia, and you know what you can get?
Free Bucks tickets.
Free Milwaukee Bucks tickets, section 102, row 23, seats 1 and 2. Tuesday night. You know what? Since everybody's been so negative in here, I'm going to go, Charles, by guarantee a victory against the Indiana Pacers on Tuesday night. And it's going to be $3 bottles and pints. Why is that, Justin?
Because it's nationally televised.
We on national TV, baby. $3 bottles and pints against the Indiana Pacers. Go on down to Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill. Have a good time. Tell them the Guru sent you. Tell them the Cream City crossover sent you out there to Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill, Pewaukee, Wisconsin, Lake Pewaukee. Yeah, man. Again, we always appreciate Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill, sponsor of the Cream City crossover.
Hey,
yes,
man.
King. Go ahead. You got it. Go ahead.
Like, this damn chat, like, y'all getting on my damn nerves now. And y'all done already had the Guru pop up. Like, I'm really, like, all this, if you think the Bucks are cooked, turn your damn TV off and don't watch anymore. Leave it to the people who want to watch. Like, if you already know the outcome, just turn on the Eastern Conference Finals and watch whoever you thought was going to be there and go crucify John Horst, well, we ain't going to talk about Haslam because probably so. He might earn it. But just, like, why you watch if you feel like we so terrible? This dude is bad. Look, dude, again, we are a good basketball team. Are we on the level of the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight? No. But Chris King told y'all last night or the last time he talked about it. We didn't have Dame or we didn't have Giannis, and we lost 2 of those games. Either or, without one of your big 2. So I can't sit here and say this team could beat us in a 4-game series off of 1 game. And if we would have won this game tonight by 10, I wouldn't say the same thing either. It's still a lot to be determined, man. And we going to get here and we going to hoop. But if you, it's over, we can't beat this, we can't do it, man, just turn your TV off, man. Like Kendrick said, turn your TV off. Let me get my grandson to come your mustard now.
Well,
yeah.
We got 19 games left. We got 19 games left to figure this thing out. 19 games left to build some momentum, and this is a rough stretch, guys. I'm keeping it a buck with y'all. We talked about this last night. Our next 10 games are ugly. They're rough. This is a rough stretch. We are going to take some L's. I'm not going to sit up here and act just completely surprised and flabbergasted that this team takes a few L's over the next week and a half, right? Like, we knew this was going to be a tough stretch. Yes, last night was winnable. Tonight was actually winnable till about 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter when we came within 5. Stuff like this is unfortunately going to happen. The question I have, and I think Bucks fans, even the ones in the chat that are not so happy right now, how do we respond? How do we respond in our next game against Indiana? Do we come out swinging? Do we come out ready to compete? Now, somebody pointed this out, and they said there's too many nights where sometimes it looks like this Bucks team does not compete. That's a fair point. I do think that's a fair point.
You know what they play like, JT? They play like an older group that's won a championship before. That's what they play, and so that's why I think they're a nicer regular season when they come out and they don't have that same energy. The Cavaliers, on the other hand, look like a team again that is pressed to win because they, you know why? And I see what's my man Taz been in here. Let them know. Stupid ass little acronym. They say, well, that's because y'all ain't done nothing since LeBron. Y'all ain't been nothing. Y'all ain't never seen this since LeBron felt the need to stay in his hometown and stay in Cleveland. And oh, by the way, he left your sorry ass city too. Nobody, you ever heard somebody say they want to go on vacation in Cleveland? You ever heard that? Me neither. I wouldn't go to Cleveland if I knew the way. So again, so yes, I get it. They're pressing. They are very excited over there in Cleveland with their 50 wins. But you got to go do it in the playoffs. And again, I haven't seen them do it. I haven't seen you do it.
And we've seen firsthand what a number 1 seed can get you. We have a good regular season team can get you. I'm not gonna avoid the stain that's on our resume with the loss to the Heat and the 1 versus 8. I'm not gonna avoid that, but you guys have to recognize that as you're talking right now, to be like, hey, yes, we're a good regular season team, and when that playoff hits, experience matters.
Experience. And the other thing I'll point out, though, is we've seen inferior teams make it very far in the playoffs. It just happens. And then when they click that switch, kind of like the Heat did to us a few years ago, there's no reason why the Bucks can't do that too. There's no reason why the Bucks can't do that too in the playoffs. But again, I'm not even really looking at playoffs at this point because we have 19 games left. We'll see how the seeding shakes out. And I think if we play up to our potential, we can do very, very well. I think we can potentially get out of the second round if we play up to our potential. Having said that, we got 19 games left. We got our schedule coming up. Remember what we talked about the other night? We said, can we split? Can we go 500 over this? Because you don't want to be in quicksand, right? You don't want to be in a situation where all of a sudden you end up being 3-7 over your last 10. We don't want to do that. But can we split? Can we legitimately split over these next?
You got to be better than 500. You can't be fine. Like, to me, that would be disappointing if over your next 10 or whatever you're 500. Like, and I think these games, Tuesday night against the Pacers, and I know you got another, especially now you got Tuesday against the Pacers. We talked about it. I think I don't have the schedule in front of me. Then you have was it Thursday against the Lakers?
Yeah, Thunder Thursday. I'm sorry.
LeBron.
Lakers Thursday.
It's the Lakers Thursday with no LeBron. Like, again, so Indiana's an important game because it's the Pacers, and again, that's a seeding kind of conversation that you're looking to have there. And then you have the Lakers with no LeBron. Like, you've got to win that. Like, that's a game you have to go win. That's a game you got to go win.
Well,
no doubt about it.
Well, so this week you play the Pacers twice. You play the Pacers on Tuesday and on Saturday. So yeah, those are important. I agree with you. Those are important games. Lakers in between, and then you play the Thunder on Sunday. I mean, this week is something.
That's a back-to-back, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
yep. Yeah. That's a tough one. That's tough.
But like Chris King mentioned with that 1-8 thing, I mean, I wonder, did those Miami Heat fans shut off the TV when they were about to lose that Chicago Bulls play-in game?
Sure they did.
Or did it? What about the Denver Nuggets when they had Dikembe Mutombo when he took down the great Gary Payton and Sean Kemp? Like, my point is, don't stop believing in your team because you go through a rough patch. I'm not going to tell you how to fan, but that's where I sit in my seat, man. I mean, hell, wasn't it a time, Chris King, my college basketball guru, wasn't it a time where it was some school, a VCU school in the Final Four? We had some school from Florida who didn't belong. We had like 3 mid-majors in the Final Four in Carolina one year, didn't we? Something like that.
Florida Gulf Coast or something. What it like? San Diego
yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly, dude. But the difference in all these other things that we're talking about, and even your Dikembe team that beat Gary Payton and Sean Kemp, amazing basketball players, they're not Giannis Antetokounmpo. Hey, I give it to you, Cavs, man. I see you on the chat. I didn't even know that.
I ain't giving nothing to him. I ain't giving nothing to him.
I'm going to give you the regular season. I'm going to give you, I didn't even know that's your hashtag, but salute. But look, dude, we over these Central Division Championship banners and trophies and all that. We don't want that no more. Like, we here to win. And we ain't got every team in our city losing where we got to kind of jump on this and ride this wave because we here and we happy for the moment. Because you know what? Eventually, Donovan Mitchell's going to leave you, and this dude's going to leave you, and that dude's going to leave you, and you're going to be back as a ping pong team like your franchise was created to be. I mean, come on, dog. Like, hey, man. Tyler Halliburton's daddy's ugly.
Shout out NYC Demon with another super chat in here. Says, shout out Cream City Crossover. Best show out. I'm tired of these Kuz haters. Just block them weirdos. You would think Chris is Luka the way they talk about him. Kuz is better. Go cry me a river. No, that is like legitimate. I know we joking around. That's legit. Like, people do talk about him like he like how I get how upset Dallas Mavericks fans are that they traded away Luka Doncic, especially how he's been playing with the Lakers and how he's giving them a new, championship pedigree type of look. They look like they're gonna, they look like a very the Lakers were dead in the water. They were dead in the water, and Nico Harrison just gave them the opportunity, to continue to compete, not just this year, but for years to come. But when you look at and again, well, I'll get to it in a second. But when you look at people, yeah, that's what I'm saying about Chris Miller. He's not that. He's not that. Like that. That's not the same thing. But again, just going back to the Lakers game for this week. I mean, is Jackson Hayes gonna be out some too? Isn't he? Did he get hurt too? Or am I thinking about something else?
I think I saw that.
I feel like Jackson Hayes is out too. Somebody in chat, let me know if Jackson Hayes is out. Shout out my dog Werv. The homie from the crib, he said the Bucks not good enough. It's simple. Well, you're wrong about that, but shout out to you for watching. I mean, I'm just saying.
Right knee contusion.
Yeah, and again, it is banned. I said I wasn't reading more from him, but I let his stupidity show. Wizards fans threw a parade once Kuzma got traded. That tells you everything. That's great, and they sorry ass still lose
40 games.
Right? Yeah, you still that didn't get you nowhere.
I
hope Chris opts back in and throw a parade when you owe him another $30 million. Throw that parade.
What gets me about the Washington Wizards is that franchise has had no plan for my entire life. They literally have not. They've not planned on being competitive. For the first time, they're probably about to set up a string of lottery picks, and they may have a chance of turning this thing around. But let's not act like that's one of the worst franchises. That's not one of the worst franchises in all of professional sports. The Wizards have always been ass. They've been absolutely terrible. I mean, I don't care if they win out, right? This Wizards team is going absolutely nowhere. Everybody knows it. We don't even entertain. We don't even think about the Washington. But quite honestly, I mean, I'm surprised that the league has not stepped in and said, like, listen, y'all need to do a better job of trying to field a competitive team out here, because they certainly don't.
Take their franchise from them. They should what they do in soccer. Adam Silver want to relegate everybody. Let's relegate them. You talk about that. What's the man named Noah Loud? Send their ass to Spain and whatever, and let them and bring somebody else in over here and let them play in that spot. NYC Demon. You know what? I agree. Chris, can we do? Hey, Chris.
I'm on.
Hey, Chris. Hey, you know he be in the club. You know he a bouncer, right? Chris. Hey, so get him out of here. But yeah, get out of here. Yeah.
Hey, and he can come back when that series inevitably happens. He can come back.
24 hours.
Yeah.
48 hours. You can get back in a week. Loser. Taz said,
are y'all really throwing people out?
Yeah. We throw them out the club. We throw them out the club.
Who got thrown out? Who we throw out?
Whoever, Banner, whatever man's name is.
Chris so smooth with it though, you don't even know it. You just see him gone. They don't say nothing else.
Out of here. Taz says he came in because he likes to hear how other teams' fan base takes a loss against the Cavs. It's always like this. And then I saw somebody else say, well, he also said if you have to play Detroit, you might have to worry about any of this. And I just say I'm not even objectively. Detroit doesn't worry me at all because they just don't have the size. Like they just. And again, I'm not even hating on Detroit. I think they're a good young upstart team. Like all seriousness, I like Detroit. I'm happy that they got out of your boy Monty Williams, who was stealing money from them boys, and got a real coach in there who wanted to coach them. So again, they should be proud of what they're doing. But they just don't have the size, man. They just don't have the size to compete with the likes of a Milwaukee Bucks team. So again, I think that series will be over in 5 if Cade and Malik Beasley really go balling. You can get 6. I really think that takes 5. I think Indiana is a 6-game series at best. I think we take care of either one of those teams pretty easily. And again, I'm not saying Taz. I'm not, to be honest with the Cavs fans in the chat. I'm being in all honesty right now. I don't know if I've talked some trash. If I was like a betting man, I would probably bet on Cleveland to win a series against the Bucks. I'm just saying, I think when you think like, oh, they were 0-4, if you think it's going to be like a sweep 5-game, I think you're sadly mistaken. I think this is a 7-game series, and I feel like it could almost be like the Phoenix Suns where, even if you won those first 2 games, it's almost like once the Bucks figure it out, oh, yeah, you might be in some trouble.
Can I ask y'all a question? So is there any possibility, that Doc was vanilla on purpose, that this offense's defense was as basic should be, because he understands that there's no way around this. And I feel like Doc's been in the league long enough to understand that winning this Sunday night game on national TV against the Cavaliers, it means something to the chat, to the Twitter, to the 4 of us. But to him, he wants to hold all of his adjustments and all that stuff for the playoffs.
It's a good point. I don't know if it's necessarily that, but I agree that yes. I don't think Doc Rivers goes out of his way to change game plans to go beat a Cleveland Cavaliers team. Now that said, I don't think Cleveland did that for us either. I don't think they went out of their way to go try to do something special. I think they just whipped their ass. So yes, I think this is everybody's normal stuff. And it is what it is. Cleveland was better, but yeah, I do think you will see much, much more adjusted from Doc Rivers. And again, the difference between Doc Rivers and Mike Budenholzer, to me, playoff-wise, and you saw some of it last year in those couple. Doc Rivers will ride his horses, and I do think he will make. I thought Doc Rivers, honestly, last year against Indiana, I thought he coached a pretty good series. I really did. Again, it's not his fault. Giannis didn't play, and Dame got hurt in Game 3. But yeah, I'll let you guys answer that too. But I thought again, so somebody else asked, do you trust Doc Rivers? Like, no, not really. But it's kind of the same. I'll say this. It's kind of the same thing that you have with Damian Lillard, where you could ask the question of, is Damian Lillard going to turn into a superstar? Well, instead of being just a star, well, he was a superstar in the Indiana series. He did it, So do I think Doc Rivers can revert back to some of that? Yeah, I do. And we know what Giannis can do. So.
Well, my thing is the first thing he has to realize is that Kevin Porter Jr. should not be getting 10 minutes against a team that you're inevitably probably going to face in the playoffs. Like, you see he's capable defensively. Yes, he has some mistakes. Those turnovers, they can be costly. But at the same time, what he can give you on any given night offensively is something that has to maybe stay on the floor to me. If you're thinking about shorting up how many people you're going to play in a playoff series on this Bucks team, I think he's definitely in that conversation. And so that would be one of the first adjustments I want to see. And that would definitely earn a little bit of trust there with Doc Rivers.
Well, it's interesting you said that, Chris, because I think a lot of Bucks fans are clamoring for Kevin Porter Jr. to get more minutes. You got to find a way to get him more burn. You have to. And I think one of the interesting things about that argument is that, on the one hand, the way we've been using him for the most part has been working extremely well. On the other hand, it's like, yeah, well, why can't we start to find 20 minutes a night for Kevin Porter Jr. because what we've seen has been really good from him for the most part. So I am curious to see what happens there. And look, we got a ton of back-to-backs coming up. Maybe we do unleash Kevin Porter.
Well, and they did. He got 15 against. He got 15 points against the Hawks in still in little kind of limited minutes, but then he goes 26 and gets a triple-double with 14 assists.
Yeah.
I get we're talking about a different type of caliber of team that you're playing in the Cavaliers than you were in whoever they played when he had the triple-double. I can't remember. Mavericks, eight guys on the team. But still, like, come on now. You gave him that role. He showed that he can go out there and facilitate and defend at a high level. What are we doing? Why do we revert back when Gary Trent comes back?
And again, this team just has to play like this. And again, it goes for him too. They got to play smart basketball.
Yeah.
And I think, when you're the point guard and Kevin Porter Jr., you're coming in to be the backup point guard when he gets his minutes, you have to protect the basketball. You have to not have, live ball turnovers. I know they have him down for 2 turnovers tonight, but it just seems like this team just doesn't take care of the basketball.
Like, that's subjective. Like
I didn't think he traveled either. That was a bad one. I didn't think he traveled.
That's nitpicking.
That was
not
a
specific
travel
moment of the game that I remember for some reason. But at the same time, like, man, the upside is there. It's there.
My thing for KPG, God, dog, too many juniors. For Kevin Porter Jr. wasn't the fact, and I know he had the turnovers and stuff. It was the fact that he was getting killed off the drive the same way Dame was, and I can't have that from him, man. He's a much better defender than that, and that's why I said he played a bad game, man. And he's much better than that. But I do agree with Chris. Give this boy more minutes because we can't. It's like the same thing we were talking about Ryan Rollins early in the year. You can't pull the dude as soon as he makes a mistake because you have no way to learn from your mistakes if you're pulled in your bench right away. Hey, one more, and man, I ain't trying to railroad this joint, but can we get to I guess because he done said it about 11 times in this chat.
Bobby starting the playoffs.
There you go. Oh, it's just Bobby starting at the 4 or 5, whatever.
Bobby starting at 4. No. And I'll tell you why. Because again, I look at our bench. You have to have some type of firepower off your bench. That does not mean that Bobby Portis can't close games if he's playing well. I just wouldn't be so concerned with him starting. I think the main thing about starting wise, because again, if you're not going to, especially regular season, because if you're not going to start him, that means you've got to start either Giannis at the 5 or you're starting Jericho Sims. I don't think Jericho Sims deserves 30 minutes. I don't know that I want to get there. I think Bobby's just much better suited coming in, especially when you look at that bench line, that bench unit that comes in. I think, they already, like, it's a group that has a really hard time getting their own shots somewhat. KPJ can do his thing. Again, we talked about it before. Some of the guys can do their own shots, but at least it gives you an option. I know we talk about black hole Bobby, but it gives you an option of dump down to Bobby isolation in the post. It's at least a play that we've run. And hopefully he's been in the gym putting up buckets. And so I think it gives you a different level there. And again, doesn't mean he can't finish games. But I 100% think you will see that lineup of Kuzma, Bobby, Giannis in at 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I definitely think you'll see it at times. So yeah, he'll play some. He'll play some, and I didn't say Bobby can defend the 5. Is debatable.
I would just say if we talk about guys coming off the bench, I'm really concerned when you put Gary Trent Jr. in that starting lineup. I think, like you just mentioned, Bobby's a gut punch off the bench. Even KPJ in the starting lineup, man. We need certain guys to kind of come in when those starters are off the floor and to win those minutes. Tonight, we didn't win those minutes against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and their bench won them. And I think that's the biggest reason why we lost this basketball game.
Listen, I think there's something to say about whether TP should start, whether it should be Gary Trent Jr. I know he didn't have a great night tonight. I think Kevin Porter Jr. is tough because I think you do want him as your de facto backup point guard. But, these are all questions that are going to that will be answered. You said there's 19 games left. These questions will be answered pretty soon here as we, as we figure this thing out. I guess as we need more offense now that Middleton is history. And again, I know we talked about it, but it's almost like we forget that wasn't it just a few post-game shows we were just talking about? We had 6 guys in double figures. We had 6 guys in double figures. We had 6 guys in double figures tonight. We had 6 guys in double figures. So what I don't want to get to again, and I get it, it's a post-game show, so we kind of live and die with every single game, and we ride the highs and the lows. Don't forget that things have happened. Just because you lost one to Orlando and you lose one to Cleveland doesn't mean you didn't just beat the Clippers and I can't remember other teams that we beat. And Denver, right?
Minnesota, no name, no
Giannis. Minnesota, yeah. Like, don't forget that those games happened as well. I want to keep us moving here a little bit. So let's go to the Twitter real quick and see what Twitter had to say before we get to game balls, which is your cue to go ahead and put your game balls in the chat. Who you're giving your game balls out to, but let's do it. At X291 says they do not value possessions enough. No point of attack defenders. No one showed up outside of Giannis and Dame. At Light Seraph says point of attack defense got exposed by the 2 explosive guards today. I don't know that. I mean, I didn't see that. Prince is not it at the starting 2. Gary Trent Jr. Green should not be playing major minutes. Ajax should be given a chance in non-Giannis minutes. His point of attack defense should be valued more over the streaky shooting of Green. At _Big E24 says, is it just me or do we overhelp off the corner a little too hard? They were constantly getting open corner threes. Yeah, I agree with that. Quick Draw McGraw says, Bucks Nation should not be discouraged by this loss. Bucks just ran out of gas, which was expected in the fourth quarter. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. Just ran out of gas. I think they got beat. Role player shot terrible. Giannis on the restriction. No Bobby. And Gary Trent Jr. come back from injury. Bucks will be fine. At Gene Dursey says, didn't move the ball tonight. Bench not good enough tonight. They look tired in the fourth. At the Wisconsin kid says, Mitchell and Garland were dog shit and they beat us with ease. We can't compete with them. At Sunk345 says, John Horst has never gotten team building correctly apart from year one. The lack of depth around Giannis has and will lead to the Bucks downfall in the playoffs and in the future. At J. Phil in Texas says he's not concerned. Again, just have everybody healthy and check ball. A couple more here. The Wisconsin kid says all the flaws show versus the elite teams. Can't trust our role players. Can't stop the 3 ball. Can't hit the 3 ball. Can't defend. Lazy and slow. Second round exit is the best case scenario. At BSD Gazelle says the season's over. Just a matter of if you lose in the first or the second round of the playoffs. Pathetic group of losers. At Carfino says we suck. And I'll do one more. At Billy with a bunch of numbers says rebuild.
Trade him. He a 10-day contract.
So that's where we are. Guys, I think it's time in the show to move on to game balls. It is midnight here on the East Coast. So let's go ahead and get these game balls going. Who you guys got? Where you going?
I've got let me show you who's sitting beside me here. This is who gets my game ball.
The treadmill?
It's a Peloton. But no, it doesn't get that game. I'm just saying, basically nobody. I'm not giving out a damn game ball all tonight. I mean, somebody's gonna give it to Giannis and do right by him, but everybody else, I can't. Like, I just the way we faded, we had a chance. We just didn't run through the tape. We didn't run through the tape. You remember those commercials from a minute ago? It was Powerade. Wow. Remember Don't Bonk? Powerade. Y'all remember them commercials? Where it was like Don't Bonk, and then people was like coming up short doing everything. Y'all don't remember that? Man, y'all didn't watch no damn TV growing up. But yeah, we just kind of ran out of gas, and the bench players just didn't have it. Their legs were shot or not. I'm good. Nobody's in the game ball for me tonight. You might get a towel. But the Bucks are going on it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna have a hard time giving out any game ball tonight. I'm sorry. I can't. Like, I didn't see the effort I wanted to see. We were juiced up in our group chat before the game, thinking this would be at least a little more competitive than it was. They tried at some points, but it never showed up. It never showed up to where it looked like a team that could come back and win that game. So, nobody.
Dang, man, I thought Chris King was going to give it to Ryan Rollins for that great 2.5 minutes, man.
I'm setting up the post-game show. That one was one where I was like, are we – I didn't see it. That was one of those ones where it's like, okay, I'll let it go for a couple more extra minutes and just see. I saw them checking in. I said, oh, it's over. I said, let me send this email to the guys to hop in the chat.
He did get off in the last. Like he was like.
I mean, he made the score respectable, which I appreciate.
He was going off.
At least
he went off.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, I'll watch that.
Hey,
they won't have it in the highlights.
Well, if you're not gonna get your game ball, so I think JT and Chris King should give their game balls to themselves for being here tonight. Then through all this stuff, man. So I felt like we had some technical difficulties last night, man. But yesterday was National Women's Day, so I'm a pivot off of it. We talked about what that boy name is, Wagner's mama, him too. But I'm gonna give it to the women that we've seen on the Bucks broadcast. So I'm gonna go Lisa Byington, I'm gonna go Melanie Ricks, and I'm gonna go to the living legend who started as Zora Stevenson. That's all I got for you, dog, man.
No Katie George.
Katie George too. Oh, my bad. I forgot about Katie George. Miss Trina in the chat. All you other ladies in the chat. All you women. All your mothers. All your better halves. We're going to give it to all the ladies out here, man. That's what we're doing.
By the time this post-game show is done for the year, Justin will have a game ball to everybody in the Bucks organization.
Absolutely.
He'll have one to the janitor that cleans up the locker room.
Next one will be Jesus.
Okay, so yeah, basically, y'all don't get any game balls to any actual players who participate in the game. I will, because you got to win to get in. And I'm going to give it to the guy who scored the most points tonight, who really started this thing off with a bang. Max Strus, 17 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. He was 6 of 11 from the field, 5 of 9 from 3. He killed the Bucks. Just got some wide open jumpers tonight and really started things off very well for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So yeah, for me, it's going to go to Max Strus. Before we go to the look around, do you have any final words in a Cleveland 112-100 victory over the Milwaukee Bucks?
On Indiana.
On the Indiana. Okay.
On Indiana.
Yeah, this isn't over. I'm just glad I'm actually welcoming these next 10 games because I want to see how this team responds. I want to see, and I got trust in them. I got faith in them that they can respond in big ways. And some nights they're not going to, guys. I don't think this is a 10-0 stretch, right? Like, it just is what it is. But you're not going to see me getting all doom and gloom about it. So, yeah, just a bad night. But we're all right.
Yeah, we struggled tonight. Like JT said, we on the Indiana NYC Demon. We're not even about to mention that dude from Oshkosh. We ain't gonna mention him Tuesday, or his mama, or his daddy. His daddy ugly though.
I'm gonna echo JT's sentiment. 112-100. I mean, I said enough on the post game tonight about my feelings. This team's got to be better. Got to be better than that, man. Got to do better than that. Got to be better. Will be better. And it's on the Indiana. Take a day off, relax. Get yourself under control. Figure this thing out. You have it's not a long trip to Indiana. And again, this thing starts, man. You got because you have bigger things to accomplish, and you have to you have to understand that like I said, with 19 games left or whatever it is, you got to move on. And so you have a big week coming up. You have a big West Coast trip that's coming up after that. But yeah, it's Indiana Tuesday, it's LA Thursday, it's Indiana Saturday, and it's Oklahoma City Sunday. And then you have your West Coast trip that you begin on next Tuesday in Golden State. So I think this is a very important, really 3-game stretch from the Bucks. It is going to be tough to beat Indiana twice in the same week, but that's why it's more important that you beat them on Tuesday to get off the 2-game losing streak. Go ahead and beat Indiana. You get a Lakers team that's going to be coming in depleted. You got to go beat them, and then if you could beat Indiana again on Saturday to get yourself back on a 3-game win streak, I'll feel really, really good about this basketball team. But that's where I am. Let's go to the let's talk about where we are. What's today's date? The 8th, 9th, 10th. No, what's today? The 9th. Oh, okay, 9th. Okay, let's do a look around tonight. Cavs beat the Bucks 112-100. Clippers with a minute left in overtime are up 107-106 over the Kings. The Nuggets got beat tonight, 127-103. How about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? He's the MVP to me. Like we can stop thinking that Joker should be the MVP. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the MVP. I'm done with the conversation. It's over. I know we still got 19 games, 20 games left. But Shai got it, man. Let's stop playing around with that man. Suns win tonight, this afternoon, 125-116 over the Mavericks. Grizzlies beat the Pels. Sixers beat the Jazz. Timberwolves beat the Spurs, 141-124. And again, Detroit does get a victory over the Trailblazers. Only thing, I was going to get it to, I didn't get a chance because we had technical difficulties last night. I don't know how much you guys talked about the Stephen A. Smith debacle. But again, I thought that was interesting. I thought LeBron came off to me, LeBron came off like a little bit of a joke. Because again, it was about it, to me, it was never about Bronny. It was about himself. I went back to the clip of Stephen A. Smith that they got mad about when he said, "I'm talking to you as a father." Outside of that, like those words, I'm begging you as a father. The clip really wasn't that bad. Like if you really go look, the clip wasn't that bad. He was basically like, like your son's ass. You need to stop parading him out here like he not hot ass. And so I mean, I thought LeBron looked weak to me going up in front of him in the middle because you're not about to do nothing. You just sitting here towering over Stephen A. Smith. You ain't never had nothing to say to Skip Bayless. You tweet, and it's all I heard people say, well, Skip Bayless is never outside. And that's one of the reasons why I respect Stephen A. Smith. Because Stephen A. Smith would say whatever he wants to say, and then he's going to show up and sit courtside of the game. He ain't running from nobody. So, and again, Stephen A. Smith just got $100 million. Stephen A. Smith making Austin Reeves money to talk. So Stephen A. Smith does what he does at a very high level. He does it well. And he clearly is getting up under your skin. And again, y'all are the ones who again, and I've said this before too, JT, there is a social contract that we all sign up for and we all sign. So the social contract that a regular person signs is, yes, you have generally the right to privacy, the right to people really not talking about you. You have that right to really be left alone in a lot of different scenarios. The more you put yourself out there, the less you have the right to say, I want to be left alone. So I can get pissed off because we have people come in this chat and talk crazy. Chris, you can get pissed off because you have that dork old Barrett dude putting your picture up everywhere, and he's putting pictures up of your boy Nathan Marzion on a t-shirt, and he putting pictures of he's clipping up our show, and he's clipping up stuff and doing. But there's I can think he's lame for it. He's a dork and he's a loser, and he probably lives in his mama's basement and he all that stuff, right? It's cool. Do your thing. But I kind of, on a very small level, that is the social contract that we sign by showing up and doing this show every night, is that you will have the losers who don't have a life, who try to do, who do that kind of stuff. And that's why, again, to an extent, I understand it. Because we have held ourselves out here to, hey, I'm asking you to come in and look at our show. And you can come in and criticize it and use your fair use rights however you want to make fun of it or whatever. So again, that's fine. Same thing on Twitter. The more you tweet, the more you make your social media presence, the more people have a right to come in and comment and talk about it. That's cool. That's on a very small scale. On an even larger scale, because again, Barrett's a very small scale, and when it's talking comparatively, on a large scale, what I think LeBron gets upset about is the fact that when you're a celebrity, the social contract that you sign, and I don't know why celebrities don't think they sign it, is everybody gets up in your business. That to me goes hand in hand and comes with the multi-millions. LeBron's what net worth, he's a billionaire, whatever he wants. That comes with it. That people will talk about you. If your son didn't want to if you didn't want your son getting talked about, keep his ass out of there. But he shouldn't have been there anyway.
Well,
What am I really going at him? When am I really going at him at USC? So you could have kept him. You the one who wanted him in the league, and you are the one and even if he got in the league, he damn sure wouldn't have been with the Lakers. So you facilitated all this stuff to happen, which is your right. And because you have that type of power, you can't sit here and be upset when people talk about you and talk about your family. And the last point I'll make is there are plenty of celebrities. You know who nobody talks about no more? Aisha Curry. You know why? Because she shut her ass up and sit down. Now, when you're doing all that yapping and you want to get in the media, you want to get on a podcast, and when you want to yap, you are fair game for people to come in and say, what the hell are you talking about? But you know what? She's not a celebrity. She's a celebrity because of who her husband is. We will leave you alone if you shut up. But the more you talk and the more you put yourself out in the public, the more people have the right to criticize and they will talk about you. And that's all I'm saying is I do think that is part of social contract. That's why, that's why Amanda Bynes, she be looking crazy. You're a celebrity. Sorry. If you let yourself go, sorry. We looking at you. Sorry.
Well, look, it's one thing, I think, to kick someone when they're down, right? Like Delonte West is a perfect example. That man's been struggling with mental health. People take videos of Delonte West doing any and everything under the sun but what we would expect a former NBA player to do. That's different. And they know, Delonte West was a professional basketball player. He put himself out there. People are going to follow. People track some stuff he does. Having said that, with LeBron James, the only thing that gets me is that he manipulated this entire situation. I told the guys last night, I love that moment when Bron and Bronny had the first game, father-son playing together, and he told them, hey, just do everything fast. Don't be nervous. Get out there and believe yourself. I love that moment. I was like, yo, this is dope. Having said that, LeBron James did everything he could to get to that moment. I mean, you told other teams he was going to play in Australia if they drafted him. So basically, you were going to let this guy develop like every other draft pick that was picked there. Dude, you knew, and the entire league knew that this guy clearly was not ready, which is why he did not get drafted till where he got drafted, and it wasn't being discussed in that area. Wasn't even being. I mean, I remember everybody came out and said, "There's no way he's a first-round pick. There's no way he's a first-round pick." A lot of guys were coming out saying he goes undrafted. I mean, so LeBron cooks up this scenario to play this thing out, and Stephen A. Smith has questions when you see Bronny James, who's in between the G League and the Lakers, be the first man off the bench in the first quarter sometimes. Yeah, what are we doing here? And like, I just don't understand why LeBron thinks it's above reproach for us to basically comment on what we see. We've watched Bronny James. Now, granted, I have not cut up all his fit, so I haven't. But from what I have seen, it doesn't look like a guy who should be playing, right? He just doesn't look like a guy who's NBA ready to give you something, contribute immediately. I'm not seeing that. Can he play in the NBA? I mean, sure, not right now. But I don't understand why LeBron James has such an issue with you commenting on what you see. He got the same film we do. I take that back. Maybe we don't have the same film he does, but at the end of the day, there's no lies being told. Nobody's slandering his character. They didn't call him brash. They're not doing the Shador Sanders thing. They haven't said a single thing about Bronny James off the court. The only thing you've ever heard anybody talk about was the health issue, the heart attack that he had, and how that may have impacted things as well. But nobody says a single thing about Bronny James off the court. Nobody takes a shot at his character. Nobody said he doesn't work hard. Nobody said he doesn't show up. Nobody said he's entitled. Nothing. Point. All they literally are saying is that he does not look like he's prepared to be out there, and LeBron takes that personal. And I get it, right? Because as a father, you don't want nobody talking about your kid. But again, I agree with you, Trey. You don't want nobody talking about your son. You put this man in one of the largest media markets in LA. You put this man on the Lakers when he's not quite there yet and probably should have gone back to school before you went about it. You put this man in this situation on draft day and had your agent running around there working the phones, telling everybody what you're going to do. This is a situation you created. So now you can't stand in it. Now you can't stand. Now, I mean, and look, LeBron James has run the NBA for the last 20 years. We all know that. But the one thing you're not going to run is the media. And that's why I respect Stephen A. Smith. People going to call it how they see it. And if you want people to call it differently, show them something different.
Yeah, just real quick on this, it just felt very forced to me. Like, the cameras is around. Like, Stephen A's response was great because he was talking about how LeBron could have gotten in touch with him if he really had a big issue, and instead he does it in front of everybody, in front of the cameras on courtside. Like, what are we doing?
Hey, get that clown up out of here. Get the clown up out of here. The clown up out of here, man.
All right. I got it.
Sorry, man. Get him out of here. I ain't gonna listen to it. I ain't gonna go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, that's felt,
I guess he got another burner.
Felt pretty forced to me.
So I just asked the difference between what Stephen A. said and what Doug Gottlieb has said. There's no difference. But the only reason why LeBron was in the right to say something about Gottlieb, because he's a whole coach of a Division I program. Stephen A., his job is to be the media dude he is. He called him out. You know who you didn't hear this about, though? You never heard this from Kobe's father and Kobe, because Kobe could actually hoop. You didn't hear this from Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr. because Ken Griffey Jr. could actually play the sport that he played. And run down the gauntlet of guys that have had fathers before them who've been great or who've been good, and their kids have hooped in it or played whatever sport it's been. Hey, once we finish this, I got something for the look around too, man.
I'm the last point on it. And again, I'll tell you this. If it had been the social media era, they'd have got on Jordan too. Because his sons are some real screw-ups. Real trash. They ain't nothing but TMZ boys. What man running off. Then he said, you know who I am? I'm Michael Jordan's son. I'm Michael Jordan's son when he got pulled over by the cop because he drinking or whatever he was doing. You on the damn railroad tracks at 2 a.m. with some women. So again, Jordan's just lucky. And you talking about as a father, because Jordan, and again, I like Michael Jordan, but listen, again, LeBron did a much better job as a father because he was around. He even put his kids in a position to be to get to the NBA, whereas Michael Jordan was out gambling and smoking cigars. But go ahead. I'm done off that though.
All right, so y'all know
eyes yellow. That boy was on the night. And hey, they used to say back at Howard, I had a Coach Mo. He said, "Boy, Crosby, that nightlife killing you."
I can't eat. Yo, you a fool.
Go ahead.
Hey, so we got the Cream City crossover bracket challenge. Me and JT was talking about this a little bit the other night, man. So you got right now we got University of Nebraska at Omaha in the tournament. My bad. Hold on, let me scroll. Drake, there you go. Thank you, Chris King. SIU, is it Evansville? I believe. High Point University.
Yeah, they bounced it in. Yeah, got in there. Yeah, for sure.
Drake, he Lipscomb. I might have said it wrong. Sorry, no. They know my heart, not my brain. And so we got a couple teams. We got a couple teams that have clinched their ticket to March Madness, man. So we want all y'all to get in here to beat the guys. The most important person you got to beat, though, beating me ain't saying nothing. You beat Chris King. You got to beat Chris King, though.
Chris King got a lot of pressure. Chris King got a lot of pressure. Chris King got to represent.
I could be exposed.
You got to represent for the whole CCC because, I'm telling you, I'm just putting down. I don't know. So you got to represent for the whole CCC. But yeah, it's a great point. Great point to bring out. Again, if you're in the chat, next show, remind me, I'll do a little early when we have the most people in the building. But yes, we will do a Cream City crossover bracket challenge. Again, I think we're gonna do it on ESPN. But we'll figure that out. Top 3 positions will be a $10 brackets for your March Madness. We will do prizes for monetary, obviously coming from the pot. top 3 positions. And then number 1, if you want to, you can jump on and do at least, I don't know, a segment, maybe do a whole show with us, the Cream City crossover. But again, we'll have more information on Twitter. We'll put that in the chat when the time comes, when we have it up and everything. It's going to be fun. It'll be $10 per sheet. Many sheets as you want. We'll get you all the information. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it as we, to really go through our March as the Bucks go through the playoffs, and it'll be real fun. So make sure, again, if you like basketball, of course, you're watching March Madness at all, join us, and we'll have some fun on that.
I got 3 out of 4 in my Final Four, man. Already, I'm ready. I got Marquette, I got Wisconsin, and I got the Dayton Flyers. I got 3 out of 4. Let's go.
Gotta get
you might have an NIT bracket challenge.
Yep. Hey, shout out to UW Milwaukee on a good season though. They played well. That's always a tough conference tournament to win in, and the Horizon League always has good basketball. So not really. You can't let one game define what was a good season for the Panthers.
Yeah,
that 1-3-1 zone that Oakland plays is tough, bro. Yeah. Them boys, they came out and hooped. They shot that thing well. Then you got a couple brothers on the team, like biological brothers that play well, man. So it's tough, man. Hey, this is a time, man, where, hey, if you ain't hooping, you got to go home. And that's the best thing about this Milwaukee Bucks postseason, my brothers. We got 7 games. It ain't one and go home. So you can be off one night and still have a dog in the fight still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. Daryl Clayton says he's gonna be handing out triple L's to us. So we'll see about that.
Open the bracket challenge. Let's get it.
Yeah, jump up.
You doing it on ESPN or CBS Sports?
I think I don't know. We'll see. I think we'll do. I'm guessing ESPN, but I don't know. It might be CBS.
ESPN group or something. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put a group together and we'll figure it out, and we'll make sure everybody is in there, and it'll be a good time. Hey man, that's all we got. I want to appreciate everybody for tuning in, joining in with us tonight, whether you're on Twitter, whether you're on the YouTube. It was fun. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us tonight. We appreciate that after a tough loss, 112-100 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Again, if you enjoyed any of this, and by the way, like I said, that Barrett guy was jumping in here. By the way, again, that takes stupidity because we've been, I don't know how long we've been on, hour and a half, whatever it's been. It's like, we literally talk about the entire game. We do a look around every single night. So again, the show has the same cadence every night. We do a look around. They're avoiding talking. Like, what are you talking about? But anyway, I won't get on that. But again, just Rick Hamilton says Bucks need to score 129. Yeah, it's probably good benchmark. If you can get 120, you'll probably be good. But yeah, just if you liked anything you heard tonight, if you like that we kicking people out the club, whatever you like, hit the like button for us if you could. And then if you would follow, subscribe, all that good stuff to the Cream City crossover, tell a friend and tell a friend and tell another friend about the Cream City crossover. We'll be here. You're the best Milwaukee Bucks post-game show in all of the land. I want to thank everybody who gave super chats as well in here tonight. Thank you. It's greatly appreciated. And I want to thank our sponsor tonight, Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill out in Pewaukee, Wisconsin. Not Curly's Brewery. Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill out there, Lake Pewaukee, Wisconsin. Get out there, go out there, enjoy yourself, have a good meal, have some good food, good eats, good all of that. Tell them the Guru sent you. Tell them the Cream City crossover sent you out there, Lake Pewaukee. Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill, sponsor of the Cream City crossover. That's all I got. This has been a Cream City Media Group production from the Guru Trickhouse III.
JT.
Chris King.
Justin.
Family enemies only because I dare to tell you the truth. Don't take no wooden nickels.